Hey guys, and welcome back to Brexit. Brexit England, Northern Ireland, and Eastern Europe. And in Brexit England, today we've had a mini budget from Kwasi Kwarteng. And I can remember reading Britannia Unchained, yeah? I read that in 2015 or 2016. And I've been warning people from since then about these people, right, getting their hands, right, on real power, right, especially being in control of the party, yeah, and of the country. You would have never, right, I mean, anybody who read that book should have never ever voted for the Tories. But you see, this is the problem that we face in this country, right? That there's a lot of people who vote and they have no clue about politics. They just and they're already probably already focused on voting for one party as it is. Right? You know me already. I think that everybody should vote. Even if you vote for UKIP, but if you do, you're a sad dick. But I think everybody should vote. Right, but the problem we face in this country, right, is we have a real lack of education, especially when it comes to politics with people. Because you see, the majority of people in this country, yeah, they don't do any type of politics in school. Now, if you go to one of the paid for schools, right, they all hold elections within their schools. I mean, you go to if you just look at Oxford and Cambridge, right, a lot of times, yeah, we know who the leads or who the head person is in Oxford, like the head student or whatever, because a lot of times they're on the TV, right? Same thing in places like Eton, right? All these places they're holding elections, so when those kids leave school, right, they are fully knowing what politics is about. They've got a clue what it's about. Most kids like leave secondary school not having a clue what politics is about. Right, and I think that's one of the main problems in this country, because if you know that these people, right, think that you're idle, right, the blokes care more about like football and boobs, you know all the girls want to do is you know be like reality TV stars, or go on Love Island, right? This is basically what these guys was coming over in this book. So much so, right, that just a couple of weeks ago, yeah, that Liz Truss, right, just a few weeks ago, right, that something come out about that book, right, and Liz Truss had to just deny one part and said, that wasn't me. That Dominic Raab wrote that part. And if you notice, yeah, Dominic Raab is nowhere to be seen, right? Because shortly after that, Dominic Raab was just like, yeah, I'm going to the back benches. He said it right before, because if he co-wrote a book with with Kwasi Kwarteng, Liz Truss, and there was a couple of others. I can't remember who the others were. If he co-wrote a book with them, right, then you think to yourself, well, he must be really in with her, right? But she just threw him under the bus. There was nothing he could do about it a few weeks ago, so he just had to stay there and just keep his mouth quiet. But today's budget, or the mini budget, quite a fat budget for a mini budget though. You know, of course, borrowing is going to be very high, because it's not like they can take money from the people who are making hand over fist and then over fist and hand again. Right? It's not like they can take the money off them, can they really? Right? So what they've got to do is they've got to borrow it, and then we can pay it back later. Right? But these people have borrowed so much money, right, and they're in so much problems. I mean, the pound right now, yeah, the pound was, as Kwasi Kwarteng was talking, the pound was diving. That's something like 111 against the dollar, right? Which is obviously going to be the lowest for I don't know, probably 40 odd years now. You know what I mean? So that's what we're looking at. So we're looking at more borrowing, of course, because I mean, what else would you do? But they're talking about cutting stamp duty, which you know what that does. That all that does, yeah, is just make the people then put that stamp duty on the price of the house. Happens every single time, right? Because they don't bring any caps in because they'll say to you, "Oh no, we don't want to get involved in the private market." Right? And we shouldn't be putting caps onto onto rent onto rising rents or rising house prices. We can't be capping those. It's all private. When the truth is, yeah, they can do a lot if they really wanted to, but they don't want to. Right? Because for them, for some reason, it's in their interest, right, for corporations from abroad, right, to come and buy these houses that are just ridiculously priced that no one in London can actually afford, right, which just pushes up the house prices of everything else because someone who could have bought that house, right, because a lot of these houses they're selling the house for £6 million, and someone, right, who could have bought that house for 4 million, right, and now because this company said, "Oh no, we'll give you 6 million for it, don't worry, we'll give you six." So now that person with 4 million, they've got to buy something else, right? Which pushes up the house prices all the way. So then we've got obviously they're cutting corporation tax because who doesn't like to look after big business, and I don't know, I can't remember. I think they might have removed the cap off of bankers' bonuses. And say, well, and you realise that the cap on bankers' bonuses, yeah, was they're not, they can't take more than double in bonuses what they're paid in wages. So basically, if they're paid £1 million in wages, right, they can't take more than like 2 million in bonuses. And if you say, well, what would they do? How would they get by? If that's the case, how are they going to get by? Do you know what I mean? If they're taking £1 million in wages, and if they can only earn 2 million in bonuses, of course they're going to leave the country. What do they want to stay here for? But in saying that, I mean, with the pound being so low, and these people thinking to themselves, well, we can attract business to this country. I say, well, really? This is what I tell you, right? There's a lack of education with the people in this country. The people in this country, right, are stupid, foolish, bigoted, xenophobic, racist idiots, right, who keep on voting against their own interests. Oh, look, those little boats coming over. Right? Yeah, look at the little boats coming over. While they have just gifted, right, the wealthy, right, more money. If you're on 150 grand, I think what you've just saved, with the taxes you've just saved, I think it works out to about 3.5, maybe 4 grand a year. Right, if you're on 150 grand a year, right? If you're on minimum wage, right, it's going to work out to about 67 pence a month. If you're on minimum wage. Now I'll ask you now, what are you going to do with that 67 pence? Because if it was me, right, I think I would go out and I'd buy myself 6 chomp bars, a 10p bar of chocolate, 6 of them. We've still got 3p left, right? But that's what it's going to work out for you, right? So you can have, but this is why I keep telling people there's a lack of education with the people in this country, because you voted for this. You voted for a chancellor and for a prime minister that's going to say, you know what, we're going to, because Liz Truss has already said it out loud. She said the quiet part out loud, right? She believes, right, that we are better off giving rich people more, right, and the less well off less. That's what she said. And remember her predecessor, Kwasi Kwarteng's predecessor, Rishi Sunak, said, I take from the less well off and I give it to the rich people like myself. And welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me, and a special thanks to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages, I'll answer when I can, but I will like all the messages for definite. So we've got the Bank of England now, right, who have just raised interest rates in an attempt to slow the economy down. But Kwasi Kwarteng is attempting to speed the economy up. When these people talk, right, and they're just talking a lot of bullshit, remember levelling up, and that all of a sudden levelling up now has changed to trickle down economics. We're gone back. This country's going back with everything. Right, with everything, right? It's like we're going back to Victorian times. We might actually be there. We might be medieval very very soon. We've had things. Oh well, I'm sure it was the medieval lot that fucked up the Thames in the first place. So why not go back there? But anyway, let's move over to America because it looks like Ron DeSantis, right? He's pulling back on it now because he was gloating with what he had done to the migrants. When I tell you he was gloating hard. All of a sudden now, right? Because the sheriff, our sheriff has just said, listen, we're looking into this, right? Because these people was kidnapped and trafficked, right? So you got a sheriff look into it, right? And now Ron DeSantis come out yesterday and said, oh no, all of these people, they signed consent forms to all go. I say, well, you do know if you make someone sign a consent form, right, and you don't provide for them what's on that consent form, right, they might as well not bothered to have signed the consent form. Because you imagine you going to court, right, a judge will just look at you funny and just say, well, okay, the person will say, well, look, I signed this consent form, but none of the services was there. And the other side will say, oh, well, they signed. What are we going to do? They signed it. Because the judge would say, you know what, this is pretty easy. If you sign a consent form, you need to provide what you're saying on the consent form. If you can't provide that, right, you haven't, you might as well say this person hasn't signed a consent form. But now, I think that all of those migrants, are actually suing Ron DeSantis also. Right, and there's a really good chance there might be some criminal charges out of this. I know at first they're going to probably pick up all the small minions because they said that a woman named Perla. I mean, I don't know if you've been following the story, but there's apparently a woman named Perla who's went round and she's managed to convince the migrants, by giving them £10 McDonald's vouchers, knowing these people are starving, hungry. Right, one of them, had one of these migrants was bleeding heavily. Right, and he never got medical attention until all of the right wing savages dropped him off with all the libs. And then what did the libs do? The libs immediately gave him medical attention, food, and shelter. Right, and just proved to the right wing, you know what? We're better than you. We drive around in a Prius smelling our own farts. Much better than you. So Ron DeSantis, he really is, because all the DOJ are looking into this shit. So he really is right now, shitting bricks, and it serves him right. I really pray that he gets charged, because if he gets charged, then he hasn't got there's no not guilty here. He can't go and plead not guilty. If he gets charged, if he was to get charged, if we put him through a grand jury and to see if there's any charges to be, right, and if he gets charged, right, I would love to see his ass end up in prison for this stunt, right, because it would teach him a good lesson. And these people, just some of the most evil people, right, that's living right now. That's how that's what you can say about Ron DeSantis and the other the other Texas governor, Greg Abbott, right? Them two, right? Because it's Ron DeSantis. He got him to fly those migrants, right? After promising them 8 months, you have 8 months worth of money. You've got jobs, you've got housing, you've got healthcare, you've got shelter. Promising all those things and then dropping them somewhere where they've got none of those things, but still saying, oh, they signed, they gave consent. Oh yeah, of course. Well, we're going to see what happens to his ass now. And then let's move over to Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is going for a really bad time, because Letitia James, her the New York Attorney General, I think that's what her title is, right? She's put in a suit against Donald Trump for $250 million, right, along with his 3 eldest kids. Right? And if Donald Trump has to pay that out, believe me, that shit's going to break his ass, right? And she's going for things like, well, you'll never be able to borrow money from banks and all. I think it's about 5 years on that, but you'll never be able to run. They're disqualifying them from running any business, right, in New York City, right? So they will have no retail. They can't get any license to sell to sell properties or any, or, or to buy properties. They won't be able to get the money, right? So she's really going after them big time. And then she's handed some paperwork over to the DOJ and said, listen, there's some criminal stuff in here as well. Because all the way, what Donald Trump has been doing is he's been going to the banks and saying, well, this property, right, is worth $700 million, right? When in reality, it's worth 200 million, right? So it's something that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to lie to banks, right, to get money out of them and stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of the banks are heavily involved in this as well. But all the insurance companies, and then obviously there's taxmen, because he's been inflating his assets to the banks and then deflating them to the taxman, right? So all of the paperwork is all there. Donald Trump is saying, well, this is a witch hunt and it's racist. Well, you say, well, if that's the case, then there will be no evidence. If that's the case, unless they were Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is refusing to use the special master that he was screaming out for, saying, I want a special master to go through all this paperwork because it's unfair on me. Now he's got the special master, right? And the special master has come out and said, well, look, if you can tell me what you've declassified, then we can take it from there. And I said, well, can't we wait till we're at the court and then we can tell you from there? And he's like, no, you need to tell me now. So all of a sudden now they don't want to use a special master because it's sort of backfired on them. And then, right, Donald Trump, I saw an interview with Donald Trump, and I'm telling you something, this is one of the world's most stupid people. Right. Not only did this man tell you to drink bleach, now he believes that a president can just think in his mind that a document is declassified, and that's it. It's declassified. Right. He said he doesn't even have to say it. He said, I can just think it and it's declassified. It's one of the most stupid interviews that you could possibly hear anywhere. He had it with Sean Hannity on Fox News. Sean Hannity's a bit of a dick anyway, right? But this interview with Donald Trump is just one of the most. He might as well have said to you, you know what? Drink bleach. That will get rid of all of your ills, and you won't have anything else to worry about again. Because you'll be motherfucking dead. But don't worry about that. Seriously. We'll stay internationally for a minute, right? A 22-year-old young lady has been murdered by the morality police in Tehran. Over a headscarf, because she was wearing a headscarf loose. And they've taken her and basically beat her to death. And you just think to yourself, well, I mean, there's been a lot of protests, and about 20 people have been murdered by the security forces over there. And you just think, well, because I mean, the only good thing that's come out of this is they've got a lot of people who are really protesting about this, because I mean, I'm one of the people. I just keep just keep out of the headscarf business. Do you know what I mean? But for me, do you know what I mean? If women want to wear it, then that's down to them. Do you know what I mean? But I personally wouldn't. I don't think they should. Do you know what I mean? But it's down to them. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really going to get involved in people's religious business. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of women over there, they're just burning their headscarves. A lot of them are cutting their hair in public and all that type of thing as well. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's a good thing, because a lot of the men now are coming out in support of them, which is obviously what they really need. If women are going to go out and demonstrate over something, they always need men to come out and say, listen, you know what, we're standing here firm with these sisters, so because we don't want the police going out and battering them, right? Remember what they did at Sarah Everard's at her vigil, right? How they went down there. Our Met police went down there and just battered the women. Do you know what I mean? They're talking about we're holding a vigil for a woman who's been murdered by the police, and they think the best use of their time would be to come down and beat the women up. But this is policing, so a lot of this is policing all over the world, so I think that the women over there, I hope that they stand really firm, and I just hope that the men stand behind them to say, you know what, no, enough is enough. If the women don't want to wear headscarves, then you know what, they shouldn't have to. But a woman was on the radio yesterday talking about how she's from over here. She said she was wearing some skinny jeans when she was in Tehran, and she said, the morality police just flew down on her and said, "What are you doing?" Do you know what I mean? Because she had a long coat on, but her ankles, the jeans. They said the jeans don't look right around your ankles. Seriously, do you know what I mean? You know, some countries have got some fucked up laws. Do you know what I mean? You know, seriously, you know when people always say, and people always say to you, well, why are you going to live there then? Let's speak about some Brexit, because I'm already 20 minutes in, and I should have finished this 20 minutes. Liz Truss has been told to stand up to the bully Joe Biden over the Irish Protocol. I don't know why these people are always giving such bad advice. And you think, well, why are you giving these people bad advice? Liz Truss doesn't have the power to stand up to Joe Biden. Well, what power do you think Liz Truss has to stand up to Joe Biden? I mean, do you know what I mean, you know, it's like them thinking that the people in this country are stupid enough to think that they, right, can get businesses to come to this country, right, when their biggest market next door, right, they have real difficulty trading with that market next door, right, and they think with the pound that's on its face, and it's going to have a new face soon, right, the pound on its face. Right, they think that business is going to want to come over here, right? Even city bankers, right? The ones that saying, oh well, you know what? By us raising, lifting the cap on bankers' bonuses, that will get people to come over here. The very well-to-do bankers, right? The ones that we really need, very intelligent. They'll come over here and work. No, they won't, because the pound's on its face. It's cold, it's rainy, it's racist. What the fuck are they going to come here for? But I think that they think that they can convince the Brits. So that's the reason why they think just saying to Liz Truss, don't let Joe Biden bully you over the Irish Protocol. There's nothing she can do. She has to sit in the corner and keep her mouth quiet, right? And say, nobody puts Lizzie in the corner. But they put Baby there, and because Lizzie is starring as Baby, they're putting her in the corner. Tony Blair has been quietly helping Liz Truss on Brexit. Secret meetings. You know what that means, right? That means stealth back into the EU. By stealth. Right? Freedom of movement for them, none for us. Okay? It's all going to be done by stealth. Very soon, right, if they get their own way, very soon, right, they'll be able to get their goods moved into the EU, right, nice and freely, right, and, right, we will still have no freedom of movement, and we will still have to take every order there is from the EU, right, because unless we do, right, we don't trade with them. That's just how it is, you know. That's just how it is, right? You know already, yeah? Unless you let your wife have that big piece of chicken, right? They're not looking for you. She got to have the big piece of chicken. And Liz Truss is taking the French proposal serious, right? To join this new EU circle thing, what they've got going on, because they've got a new project with some new European project. And that is going to be the stealth. That's going to be the way in, right? And what they're going to do, right, is they're going to leave you right there without your freedom of movement, right, looking and saying, hold on, but we're virtually back in, aren't we? That's what's going to happen. I can already see it, right? I'm just wondering whether or not Liz Truss is going to get enough time. Anyway, guys, look, I've got to wrap this up because I'm already 24 minutes in. And I didn't want to go this far. So, this, my friends, is by any means necessary. I'm James C. John Ribbs. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.